How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, the tension in the universe is quite intense. And the thing that keeps resonating with me a while back, I said everything we will see will be in biblical proportions. And it's amazing the space and time that we are living in. I say this often, but to actually see the events that have unfolded the last 4 days is quite amazing. And so America has been warned long ago, but America is quite arrogant and very dismissive when they are being warned. And who is warning them repeatedly? So we're going to go on this journey. I'm going to show the royal family some things, and I'm going to explain some things to the royal family. So we're going to start right here. So Farrakhan warned Trump and America on war with Iran. Okay. Farrakhan, he gave this speech July 22nd, 2019.
America's about to go to war. And when she goes to war, she wants black and brown bodies. Now you're useful. They don't give a doggone about how black lives matter until they want to use black lives to accomplish their wicked ends. They're trying to provoke Iran. I would like to say to the President, Mr. President, it would not be a wise move for you, because you're already $23 trillion in debt, and you don't have any money to prosecute a war. So if you don't have the money to prosecute a war, the Federal Reserve is printing money every day. So you will have to come to the Federal Reserve to borrow money that you don't have to prosecute a war in a time when any little thing could cause the dollar to fall and the stocks to fall.
Now, isn't that amazing, my royal family, that we are literally at the brink of war? And what really stood out to me, how quickly the enemy is saying that we need to come together. And as I take y'all on this journey, I'm going to reveal some things about the enemy. You know, it's not surprising, but what's so astounding about the enemy is when they say we need to come together. and I'm a deep thinker. So you knew all along that you've been fucking over us. And now you are looking at reality. And like Farrakhan said, basically, oh, now they have a vast interest in the royal family. Kumbaya, my ass. This is your motherfucking problem. You the one with the high IQ. This is your white supremacist system. Every millisecond, y'all fucking over us. We done fought in all of your wars. And then once it's over with, business as usual, fucking over us. Fucking over our men. Killing us with impunity. Making it hard for us to survive. But you want us to come together. You got the royal family real fucked up. That's the only way I can put it. I can't clean it up, my royal family. I must keep this very, very core and raw. Now, I was doing some research because I wanted to bring forth some more information. And so I happened to run up on this brother's channel here, Malcolm Flex TV. And he got some good stuff here. And I let this brother know I was going to use one of your videos. Now, I'm not going to play the entire video, but it's something key that this brother presented that we need to know about. Some may know, some may not. You know, you never know. But I'm going to put his link here because I like the energy of this brother's channel. And lo and behold, he knew who I was. And I was like, wow, you know, you don't know who's out here watching you because people don't always make comments. So, like I said, I'm going to play a portion of something that this brother had up here that really stood out to me.
Is changing the black narrative, and this show today is dedicated to the most recent news of the U.S. airstrikes against Iran. Okay, so this is some of the most recent news that has been taking place. You know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been keeping us up to date on this information in regards to Iran. So here's a newspaper article from the Wall Street Journal. And this newspaper article is titled, U.S. Strikes Shiite Militia Targets in Iraq and Syria. Okay, and I will read some of this article and I'll also post a link for you so you can read it yourself. The operation against Iran-backed Kataib Hezbollah comes in retaliation for attack targeting Iraqi military base that killed a U.S. contractor, wounded 4 troops. The U.S. carried out airstrikes against an Iranian-backed Shiite militia group in Iraq and Syria, in the Trump administration's most forceful response to Tehran's assertive posture in the region. The Pentagon says Sunday's attack targeted 3 of the Kataib Hezbollah militias locations in Iraq and 2 in Syria, including weapons storage and command facilities. Officials said the strikes came in response to an attack on Friday in which more than 30 rockets were fired at an Iraqi military base near Kirkuk, killing a U.S. contractor. This retaliatory attack took place in Iraq, okay, because Shiite a group called Hezbollah attacked them first. But you would believe that initial story if you didn't know who Hezbollah was and what their purpose in Iraq was for. So if you don't even know why they're over there, then naturally you're going to think that America was in Iraq. But let me help you understand who Hezbollah is. Hezbollah is not only just a Shiite Muslim group, Hezbollah is also a Christian group. That's right. Shiite Muslims and Christians both came together and formed a group called Hezbollah to fight against ISIS, which is a known terrorist organization. But this proposes a potential problem for Iraq because 8 months ago there was a analyst that came on the news who said that the Iraqi government did not want American soldiers and Iranian soldiers to fight on their land, okay, on their soil. So let me play this clip for you.
What about the impact on neighboring countries, especially Iraq and Syria, where effectively the Revolutionary Guard functioned, were in effect working together with the United States against ISIS?
Yeah, so in Iraq, for instance, the IRGC and the Iranians were, according to the Iraqis, the first ones to arrive, the first ones to send in ammunition and help in order to defeat ISIS. And according to the Iraqi defense minister, had it not been for Iran, Baghdad likely would have fallen to ISIS. And then, because this was during the Obama administration, the Iranians and the Americans coordinated through the Iraqis how they were jointly defeating and fighting back against ISIS. That type of an opportunity for collaboration obviously now is closed off as a result of this designation. Moreover, this is putting a tremendous amount of pressure on Iraq. Iraq is already in a very delicate situation. The country has been severely destabilized as a result of the invasion, and they are stuck between the United States and Iran. They need the Iranians for a whole set of different things, and most importantly, they want to avoid becoming an arena in which the United States and Iran fight each other on Iraqi soil. So they're really a drive-by shooting victim in all of this. And this designation makes it even more difficult for them because many of the companies and many of the entities that they're working with in Iran are one way or another connected to the IRGC. And I think this is an important thing to keep in mind.
So tensions were already high in Iraq between Iranian soldiers and American soldiers. But Iraq stated that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard was the first people on the scene to help Iraq fight against the ISIS invasion. And former President Barack Obama was able to facilitate a peace agreement with Iran so they can assist Iraq in the ISIS invasion. But the Trump administration did away with everything that President Barack Obama had already issued forth. So the tensions that were already high had worsened as soon as President Donald Trump had taken office. So now, in recent headlines and recent news, that there has been bloodshed between Iranians and American soldiers, okay? But they are saying that they are just targeting Hezbollah, which is a separate group from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, but America's government under the Trump administration had already labeled the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist group, which is the first time this has ever been done in history. Okay? So, but there has been one man that has been among us trying to warn us and trying to warn America to stop trying to bully Iran, and it would be a suicide mission to even try to go into Iran. And I'm speaking of none other than our leader and teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So here is our clip from the Honorable Minister Louis.
Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. We're going to hear this. We're going to hear this. And that was the nugget for me personally that I needed to get the full backstory on how all this went down. So this goes way further back because we already know that Trump's mission is to undo anything that Barack put together. So when they put that nuclear deal together, they said it was a good thing, you know? So America, you know, your dirty draws stink. You can clearly see what's going down. And another thing, I did some research on this so-called contractor. I couldn't find nothing. The only thing that I found was that they were withholding the contractor's name, you know, for privacy purposes and, you know, concern about their family and all of that. I don't think it was a contractor killed. You know, I really don't. I don't believe it because they ain't even presented it. I don't even believe it. And if they did present it, I wouldn't believe it. They just been itching to get over there, and I wouldn't even be surprised, you know. Trump, I showed y'all that footage where he was saying, well, Obama will, you know, start a war in order to get reelected. Well, your ass was already in the hot seat and still continue to be in the hot seat with this impeachment deal. And you didn't follow the necessary protocol, Trump, to even get into this war. You know, you do what you usually do. Get down real greasy. But there is somebody or somebodies that's in his ear that convinced him of this. Because Trump can't think for himself. We already know this. He's way in over his head. So, as we continue on, I got a few things I'm going to show y'all, but we're gonna get to see this. Don't trip. We're going to get to see that. Just hold tight right there. I always say the best for last. So, which one do I want to play? Well, let me start with this one first. Then we're going to get into some deeper things too as well.
To this new year, as tonight American B-52 bombers are now on the move, and thousands of U.S. troops are being deployed to the Middle East as Iran now vows revenge. It all comes, of course, after the death of Iran's top military commander in a U.S. drone strike, and these are the images tonight. Millions in mourning in the streets, the funeral procession in Tehran today. Angry and emotional messages from the Iranian people for the U.S., Iran's supreme leader weeping at the funeral. Tonight, those calls for revenge and chants in Iran's parliament of death to America. Iran effectively now pulling out of the nuclear deal. Tonight, President Trump vowing to answer any retaliation with force. The president speaking of 52 Iranian sites, including sites of cultural significance. And thousands of U.S. troops, many already arriving in the Middle East. You will hear from nervous families right here at home. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz leads us off from inside Iran tonight.
In Iran today, an ocean of people taking to the streets. More than 1 million mourners, many dressed in black, grieving the death of General Qasem Soleimani. Numbers not seen since the funeral of an Ayatollah in the 1980s. Soleimani's coffin carried high above their heads today.
This procession's so packed you can barely move, but the emotion is everywhere. People have a very strong message for America.
They are chanting death to America. Others here burning the stars and stripes. Inside the funeral service, tears from Iran's supreme leader. And amid the grief, calls for revenge.
Trump made a big mistake. He killed
our hero. Revenge must happen, and it is certain.
What kind of revenge do you want?
Anything.
Iran promises that is coming. Over the weekend, a red flag symbolizing a declaration of war raised above a mosque. This morning, the Iranian government announcing they are suspending commitments to the 2015 nuclear deal President Trump walked away from months ago. Iran now abandoning limits on enriching uranium and stockpiling nuclear fuel. Members of the Iranian parliament also chanting death to America, officials saying retaliation would target the U.S. military. President Trump warns that if there is retaliation, he has 52 Iranian targets in his sights, some, he says, at a very high level and important to Iran and the Iranian culture. Targeting cultural sites is considered a war crime. Today, Iran's president firing back, tweeting, those who refer to the number 52 should also remember the number 290, the number of people killed when the U.S. accidentally shot down an Iranian passenger plane in the 80s. Rouhani's message to Trump, never threaten the Iranian nation.
So let's get right to Martha Raddatz, who's with us live tonight from Tehran. And Martha, you and I have both reported from inside Iran, and the Iranian people have often told us that they have felt the U.S.-led sanctions for years, but today I noticed the crowds there with you noting something very different, calling for revenge, and the Iranian government under tremendous pressure tonight to act.
They are, David. The emotion was so high today here, David. We saw many people weeping, but it was mixed with anger and a real desire for revenge, and anger clearly aimed at President Trump. David?
Martha Raddatz leading us off from Tehran tonight. Martha, thank you.
Okay, well, that's the end of that. Let me shut that down. Don't want to get any pop-ups there. That was quite intense. So, as we continue on, this will speak for itself.
The Pentagon is sending more than 3,000 additional soldiers to the Middle East to protect against any revenge attacks from Iran. Chip Reid spoke with two women who just saw their husbands sent to that region. He's at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, with more on the story. Chip, good morning to you. Can you tell us how military families are handling this situation?
Well, I can tell you that when the president calls 911, the phone rings here at Fort Bragg. And for the soldiers of the 82nd Airborne Division, that means that they have to be ready to go in 18 hours or less. And for the families, that means a lot of stress and also a lot of pride in what they do for this country.
Just like that.
Yes.
Your life went from normal family life to
chaos.
Rachel Hurdle and her husband, Sergeant Alexander Hurdle, were visiting her family in Ohio when he got the call to head to the Middle East.
The previous two deployments were all planned, and so we had time to get ready. This one threw us for a loop.
Let's go. Hurdle is one of thousands of servicemen and women of the 82nd Airborne Division that specializes in parachute assault operations and in responding to emergency crisis situations anywhere in the world.
You admire him for what he does?
I do. I cannot imagine leaving my children, and I know that it breaks his heart. But this is what we decided as a family we would do, that we would be a military family.
It's just sad. Everything he's gonna miss. It's sad.
Jill Jarogowski's husband left for the Middle East on Sunday.
Your heart is swelling with pride. Like, you're so proud of him, but it's shattering at the same time. It is the most unexplainable feeling. I can't even really describe it.
We're at home getting our support system together and being ready for him to be gone.
Hurdle and her husband have one biological son who is 8 and 3 foster children.
That my children have finally bonded with a man that wants to be their daddy. And if he were not to come home, how would I tell that to them?
This is what military families go through all the time.
It is. but we often don't say it out loud.
For security reasons, the soldiers of the 82nd Airborne Division have been told they cannot take their cell phones and they cannot tell their families where they're going. And if history is any guide, they could be gone for 9 months or even more. Tony?
Oh, Chip, thank you very much. Think about that. You can't say where you're going. You don't know how long you're going to be gone.
Yes.
And you get 18 hours of warning before you leave.
That wife said it best when she said she's so proud, but it's so shattering at the same time. And imagine how frightening and terrifying that must be for them.
It was those two conversations were so moving. I mean, with these families, give up to
It's
serve
a great
the
piece from Chip. I mean, it's pride and concern intermingled.
Once again, there are real people behind these numbers.
Yes.
You always need to be
3,000
reminded
families
of
is
that.
3,000 troops.
Now, my royal family, there's a reason why I was showing that. The enemy already know that they're not coming home. I've been researching a lot of stuff, and a lot of the enemy's woman is already crying and saying, I don't think he's going to come back home. And this is extremely serious. This ain't no plaything at all. Let me go over here and show this picture again. This ain't no plaything at all. Trump literally has blood on his hands. He had one of their top elite military geniuses killed. That's how they refer to him. And, Trump does what he does, continue to do what he do online, taunt people. But this is real. This is biblical. This is spiritual. And we're literally, like I said, we're literally watching a prophecy unfold before our eyes. Now, the enemy wants to continue to be very dismissive. And as this thing go along, we're going to be seeing a lot of families crying. And yes, I already know that our folks is over there too. I'm not losing sight of that at all. But I can remember one particular, I think it was the Afghanistan war that they had. They were bringing back so many bodies in this country. They said, don't film them anymore. But we already seeing the enemy's woman feeling some kind of way. Because our Father wants the enemy to feel his divine energy. He's not playing with any of us. And our Father is sick and tired of all our sins. I bet you they damn near reach the heavens. And just how destructive man has become. And it just happened to be in a space and time that we are watching this stuff in real time. And it's amazing. Folks can't deny what they feel. I've never seen a crowd that big. I had to look at that. I was like, damn, that's powerful. But America, you didn't have to go there. You've been warned long ago.
Now, if we fast forward to 2018, the policy of our government as brought to Saudi Arabia by President Trump who asked the king of Arabia, King Salman, to call all the Sunni nations together in Riyadh, and he would come and address them. And when President Trump went to Riyadh, I saw him with pictures of new jet fighter planes, showing it to the king, and then they announced $110 billion sale of weapons to Saudi, the United Arab Emirates, billions of dollars for weapons. But if you listen carefully to his speech, he was making toxic the division between Sunni and Shia and aiming those weapons subtly toward Iran, and then openly saying to all of those nations they should reject their brother Iran. My teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, taught me years ago that the policies of our government would bring about a war in the Middle East that would be a trigger to the greatest war that has ever been, the War of Armageddon, spoken of in the Bible. My teacher wrote an article warning America in a time of great confusion over who is going to be president, either a Democratic president or a Republican. And we saw that played out 2 years ago. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that we were living in that which is called the lull before the storm. No matter who wins the election, that president would have to guide America through the most difficult time in world affairs. Mr. Trump is that leader today. And Elijah Muhammad taught me that I should say to him, you would be wise, Mr. Trump, to delay the storm as long as you can, because the longer the storm is delayed is to not only America's advantage, but is to the advantage of the world. These sanctions are the predicate for a new war. A reporter asked my teacher, is America going to remain in the Middle East? And my teacher said, America is going to come out of the Middle East. And when they asked about war, he said, yes, there would be war. And he said, bloodshed in this area would be much. I am begging our president and the government that supports him to be very, very careful. Because if the trigger of war in the Middle East is pulled by you using your surrogates at the insistence of Israel, then the war will trigger another kind of war which will bring China, Russia, all of the nations into a war, And it bothers me to say this to you, Mr. President, but the war will end America as you know it. So when these Iranians chant death to America, death to Israel, no chant can bring about your death, but it is your policies that are eroding trust for you in the world, favor for you in the world. And now you're pulling apart, confused. And if you do this, you will bring about, not the Iranian chant, you will bring about the death of the greatest nation that has been on this earth in the last 6,000 years. I am a warner to you. I am a friend to America, not an enemy. But if you do not heed the warning and correct your path, death will come.
Well, America has been warned long ago. Now, we have hit a pinnacle. I would love to be sitting next to Farrakhan and hearing what he has to say, because he's going to speak eventually. But he's taking it all in. And that's something that I have learned how to do, is develop patience and watch things unfold. And Farrakhan has done his part. He did it earnestly. He did it repeatedly. And he did it correctly. So there's no need for him to feel some kind of way. But who wants to see blood, continuous blood? And it's just some amazing times we're in, because everybody's feeling it, damn near. It's not business as usual, America. You have toyed around with many folks, especially the royal family. Now it's time to put our differences to the side. It's none of our damn business. We have to worry about our immediate situation. We have to take care of our own. We have to sit down with our own. We have to develop not having compassion for every damn body's pain and plight, and focus on our own, and focus on getting our house in order, and preparing ourselves to the best of our ability, getting to the kingdom. But we must not share our energy with the enemy. That's extremely important. When they wailing in the street, we cheering in the street. We don't cry with the enemy. We don't laugh with the enemy. You deal with your own personal pain and plight. Lesson learned. We have demonstrated. We have exhausted ourselves. We have humiliated ourselves. We have done many things degrading to ourselves to appease the beast. And the beast is true to the beast's nature. And we must respect that. And that's something that the royal family has not done. Respect the nature of the beast. And I know many of us will take heed, but you will see some of our own being foolish. At some point, you must pull away. And some of these people we're going to pull away from are very near and dear to our heart. We must take this very serious, my royal family. I'm not into putting scare tactics in anyone, just looking at cold, hard facts and dealing with reality. So, these Beckys feel some kind of way because their man is gone. Our man is always gone. So, it is what it is. You deal with your personal pain, we deal with ours. Because we still got stuff that we got to deal with. Because even with all of that, y'all going to continue to rain down on the royal family. And you're not going to fully get it until you feel and have a personal experience. And when you feel the full gauntlet and the full energy, you will fully submit to our Father, Yahweh. And I thank you, Yahweh, for pulling me through. Like I always say, I know what I sing, and I know what I heard. I'm most humble, Yahweh. Thank you for delivering me, and thank you for presenting to me what I needed to see and what I needed to know. And I will continue to pray because there's more that I need to know. So, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.